the best of the week on Relevant Radio.
Being thankful in all seasons and situations of life is difficult, especially in times of trial, hardship, and suffering. Because of the necessity and difficulty of maintaining gratitude in the Christian life, and as it's seasonally appropriate as well, today on the show we're talking about Thanksgiving, and indeed how it will change your life. Joining us today as our spiritual director is Father Bobby Blood. Father Blood is a priest of the Diocese of Rockford, Illinois, where he serves as the assistant principal and spiritual director at Boylan High School there in Rockford. Welcome back, Father. Thanks for taking the time to be with us today.
Oh, it's a joy to be back with you.
This is a good time to talk about gratitude, but gratitude as a spiritual discipline, I think, is something we want to kind of encounter today. So why is gratitude so important in the spiritual life?
It's a perspective shift. It places us back into the context of relationship with the Lord, that no matter the ups and the downs, the greater context of life is one in relationship with a God who loves us. And there should be a sort of soaring of the heart, rejoicing in the fact that he's so generous to us, that he gives us his love, care, and attention and life itself. And so I think it's allowing us to zoom out from our troubles and recognize that life is a net positive, and the Lord is very generous to us.
Life is a net positive. I like that a lot. I'm going to actually incorporate that into some of my addressing to my students as well, my Catholic school students. Life is a net positive. I like that. We've got Mike who's calling in from Indiana. Mike, welcome to The Inner Life.
Thank you. With the issue of suffering and gratefulness, we look back at what the apostles tell us and what the saints have told us. We can be thankful for the opportunity to suffer with Christ. One thing that occurred to me is that he saved us from useless suffering. By suffering with him, it makes our suffering valuable. It makes it salvific. So it's something to be grateful for, is to be able to suffer with Christ and to not suffer uselessly.
Yeah, it's a beautiful reminder for us. Saint Cecilia, one of our great martyrs, and you can almost get in their mind a little bit, and you can get excited when you think about the fact that they got to so nobly lay down their life for Jesus. But then when it comes to us doing something even smaller, it can get frustrating. But to be reminded that those who came before us recognized that suffering isn't empty. It's unified to Christ, and there's some glory and some rejoicing in that. I think it's a beautiful reminder. It doesn't take away from the hardship, but I think sometimes it helps us to refocus and find a new lightness in the midst of that hardship.
It is a tremendous reminder, Mike. Thank you so much for that. But it's in my experience, Father, Mike's attitude is one that takes a good deal of spiritual maturity to get to that point, because it's not immediately evident to those who may not be all that close to Christ at any given time. And one of the things that it's been on my heart to ask about is, maybe especially for parents and those of us who are teachers who interact with children on a regular basis, you yourself, Father, since you're a spiritual director at a high school, I mean, there are young people who have undergone some traumatic experiences, and they may find it hard to be thankful. You can see how that emerges, maybe especially in the teenage years when they seem to be angry, aloof, they seem to not connect, and they might find it hard to be thankful. And maybe they don't have a good, solid bedrock of spirituality to draw from. What might we do as influencers in their life to help them to move towards Thanksgiving?
Especially with young people, I think providing a space where they can be vulnerable and honest in a way that they can be received becomes like the seed bed in which Thanksgiving can begin. Oftentimes, I think when they've gone through something traumatic, or they feel like the world is against them, they can't really enter into Thanksgiving. They have to first be heard. So as teachers, parents, mentors, being able to set the stage where the next generation can find a place of vulnerability and honesty to say, this is incredibly painful, this is hard, and let them get it out. Because if we leave those things in, they fester. And I think that's the call for us. And then they will naturally end in a little bit more thanksgiving, because they'll be naturally grateful that somebody cared for them enough to let them feel big feelings. But I think we can have a tendency in our culture to try to shy away from big feelings, and well, time heals all wounds, and if we just wait, it'll get better. And I don't know if that's always the case. Sometimes we have to intervene and allow those things to be felt and expressed so that they can find a place of rest.
Hi, this is Patrick Conley. You can join me and listen on the Relevant Radio app to The Inner Life, live each weekday at 11 a.m. Central. And thanks for listening.